25 years ago, there was a film that changed the world. A film that launched a very successful career of a young director known as Bryan Singer. A film franchise that would start from humble beginnings and become one of the best film franchises ever made. And think, it all started 25 years ago. The official launch of the Marvel Universe. Yes, of course, Blade came before in 1998, but I really think that the it was this film that really highlighted what the Marvel Universe really was. And how did it hold up 25 years later? Well, let's talk about that. Reading Keats and Nerds and Lady Universe and White Nudie, and yet we are taking a look at the original Bryan Singer's X-Men from years ago, so if nobody had seen the original X-Men yet, just people want spoilers. So does the X-Men movie, the original Bryan Singer X-Men movie from the year 2000, really still hold up all these years later? Well, that's what I'm here to figure out, but just people want spoilers. The X-Men were created at least in 1963 or as late as 1963. During the time Stan Lee had a resurgence of great superheroes like the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Spider-Man, this, the Almighty Thor. He had several characters that he had just done, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, he released the Avengers around the same time in 1963. So he was at the highlight. However, Stanley was still a bit of a daredevil, and he wanted something new and exciting to be put into the modern day era. So thus, he teamed up with Jet the King Kirby to create one of the greatest superhero teams, but a lot of them, mostly the X-Men, more so than Spider-Man, I would say, in this regard, became one of the most relatable characters during the time of Stanley's popularity. A team that he originally wanted to call the Mutants until Martin Goodman said, you cannot call them the Mutants. So the name the X-Men was, was evolved from just this one little idea from Stanley. The X-Men were a team of teenage superheroes at the time that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created to basically make them more relatable to teenagers that were growing up during the time during the Segregation Act. But eventually, as much as Stan Lee and Jack Kirby liked the book the X-Men was dropped, but I'll let Stan Lee himself explain why the X-Men book was dropped.
Dropped something, and the reason I dropped the X-Men, and Jack went off it, not because we thought it was less of a strip, but there were so many characters.
It's silly to think about that nowadays, about a comic book being dropped just because there are too many characters to write. But at the time, remember, Marvel was a very small company with only so many writers and so many artists, so it's understandable that it got dropped. But eventually, in the 1980s, the X-Men made a resurgence thanks to Chris Claremont and John Byrne, two of the greatest all-time Marvel legends who we would talk about for ages. And then in 2001, a plucky young director named Bryan Singer went to 20th Century Fox to present this. And 25 years later, and I was just 5 years old when this movie came out. Just keep that in mind. I was only, yeah. And I still remember the first time watching this movie. So, does it still hold up 25 years later? Well, let's dive into Bryan Singer's X-Men. Let's see if we're worthy enough to be the X-Men. Let's be mutant and proud. And just remember, we are the future now, Charles. Not them. They no longer matter. So let's review Bryan Singer's X-Men. I love how this film doesn't open up with Professor Xavier's backstory, but instead Eric Lechner's backstory, aka Magneto, because he was a prisoner of the Holocaust. And then, of course, very similarly to any awesome fashion, we get to see that Eric does actually have powers, the power over metal manipulation, which is a weird power anyways, and until he gets knocked out. Cut to so many years or so much time later, and we get to meet Rogue, played by the young Anna Paquin, who basically is going to experience her first kiss and her first mutant powers. After the incident, Rogue runs away where she goes to Alberta, Canada, or somewhere in Canada, where she ends up meeting the man, the myth, the legend.
A little bit like Henry. Oh my fuck! The cavalry. The legends are true. And may I say, sir, on behalf of all humanity, this just feels.
What? No, she gets made up with the fabulous Wolverine, played by, in his very early stages, a very young and admirable Hugh Jackman. Fun fact about Hugh Jackman's role in this movie is that, believe it or not, I know a lot of people probably don't know this. Hugh Jackman is Australian. He was born and raised there until he came over to America basically during 2000 to basically seek his career as an actor. During the production of the movie, one of the producers went to him and asked him if he actually had his paperwork, meaning, is he a citizen that can basically be here, or does he have paperwork from Australia to the United States saying that he can work on this film? Hugh Jackman said yes. Unfortunately, and eventually, he would found out that he lied to both Bryan Singer and the production crew. But even though, excuse me, but even though that he lied, even though that he had lied and that his fortune was written in this, 25 years later, the man is still one of the all-time greatest actors and still is remembered as being the Wolverine. I love how the film too also establishes that Rogue basically looks up to Wolverine. Not only is he like a guardian of her and a protector, but she kind of looks up to the big guy, and that's respectful. Which eventually, of course of reasons, we are introduced to the X-Men with Professor Xavier, played by the amazing, talented, and great Patrick Stewart, who is amazing. And of course, what's an X-Men movie without politics? With the politician being that Senator Kelly basically wants mutants to be dead or die because he hates them for his own reasons. Was the only one, Magneto, pushing the standards of mutant kind and mutant brotherhood to stand up for his own rights, his own reasons, and for his own purposes, of course. The film's mostly main characters consist of Rogue and Wolverine, and their chemistry together is so damn amazing that you would hardly notice that they're supposed to be the main characters. And it's not long before the X-Men know what they have to do. They have to team up together, and basically they have to save New York City before it's destroyed by Magneto.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex? Ooh, look at those jammies. That only took 20 fucking years. What? Fuck, this is gonna hurt.
So, Magneto's big plan is building a machine that runs off of his energy and off of his powers that he's going to use to destroy humanity.
Everybody out! Save yourself! Judgment has come! Did an unexpected fall!
Which, of course, after so much protocol jargon, after so much crap that he had to deal with, the X-Men movie finally picks up and becomes what it's supposed to be, an X-Men movie. The day is saved, but unfortunately Logan and parts ways with the X-Men, at least for now, since he mostly wants to take a trip and rediscover his roots. I mean, after all, this would not be the last X-Men film, nor would it be the final awesome appearance of Hugh Jackman. The man had just launched his career and is just getting started. So does Bryan Singer's X-Men really still hold up to this day? Of course it does. It's a great and amazing piece of cinematic history, which you just have to love it. It is really amazing how much that this film can hold up 25 freaking years later, but I fucking love it and everything that it stands for. Of course, it has its political jargon, and of course, it has the stupid fucking political bullshit that the comics had at the time, but it's still an amazing and wonderful movie for anybody to watch. Of course, I do have to say that it does have some disturbing scenes, mostly with Senator Kelly. So if you're gonna get your kid involved in this, might want to wait until they're a little bit older so that they can take it. So 25 years later, the X-Men still does hold up. And if you're wondering what my Funko Pop rating is of the X-Men, well, my fellow geeks and nerds, my Funko Pop rating of the X-Men is an Inuyasha. Why? Because every time I watch this damn movie, I'm blown away by how good it is. So my Funko Pop rating of X-Men gets an Inuyasha. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching and happy 25-year anniversary to the X-Men movie, which, if you guys seen this X-Men movie, have you not, have I curious you into watching it, please be sure to tell me in the comments down below. And who is your favorite X-Men character, by the way? Let me know in the comments down below. I know a few people's favorites, like a few of my subscribers' favorite. Mine, of course, it had to be Nightcrawler. Always did love the guy. I don't know for whatever reason. He's just always been a favorite of mine. And also, which is your favorite X Men movie is it of the franchise? I don't mean like Deadpool or New Mutants. I mean just is in the X Men franchise and X Men names. My current favorite has to be X Men Days of Future Past. It's one of the best that I have seen personally. So be sure to tell me what your favorite is in the comments down below. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified every single time I make an upload, and follow me at Twitter, link in the description down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I believe in your voice. I will know you keep eking on. And until next time, guys, and as always, happy anniversary to X-Men. Keep eking on, and until next time, take care.